If you don't feel confident about your pronunciation, your fluency, or your listening skills, then you found the right video. Because in this video, we practice accent reduction, pronunciation, and intonation with real people who are learning English along with you. So watch us, join us, and improve your American accent with these videos. Now, this is a very unique channel. So make sure that you subscribe and give me a thumbs up to help me out. It's really hard to get noticed on YouTube these days. And stick around because we practice for hours every day, improving our accent, improving our fluency, and improving our vocabulary and listening comprehension. Stay right here and practice English with us. All right, let's move on to our next nerd word for today, which is grazing. We've already talked about that. That's related to the word grass. That's what animals who eat grass do. That's how they eat. They graze. They graze. Alex, can you read the example sentence? What does it say?
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
Okay, what is a meadow, Alex?
Meadow or meadow? Meadow or
Meadow.
green meadow? Meadow.
Meadow. What is a
Green meadow. Meadow is it's like a piece of land or a
uh-huh.
like a land or
Yeah, it's usually like an area with no trees. It's just
area.
or something like this is a meadow. It's like a field. It's probably another way of saying a field. These are
Mhm.
meadows. Okay. 9-volt fan says, "Hi, why did you start the stream early?" I didn't start anything early. This is something different. If you're thinking about the news and the other things, I would normally do that at 5 o'clock, but I'm trying something different today. I thought I could do 3 videos today, but probably not because this is taking a very long time. So it's not that I'm starting this early, I'm starting something new late. Let's think of it like that instead. Okay. David, can you read number 2? What does number 2 say?
Number two, the
Yeah.
sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
Meadow, meadow, meadow.
Med, meadow.
What does that mean? The sheep were grazing.
Oh, the sheep was going around in the meadow,
Well,
and the meadow is
but grazing comes from the word grass. It's the same word. And grazing, you know, some animals just eat grass. Cows, sheep. I don't know what other animals. I'm not very good with animals. But famously, cows and sheep eat grass.
okay. The sheep is going around in the meadow eating the grass of the,
That means eating. So eating grass is grazing. Okay. Now, David, what are the big words? What are the important words in the sheep were grazing? What are the important words in that phrase?
the subject, the sheep,
Okay. And are there any other important words or just sheep?
meadow.
Okay. Well, we're just going up to grazing. Don't go to the end. We're just going, the sheep were grazing. We're only focusing on that part.
So the importance that the subject and grazing, the
Graze,
verb
grazing. Okay. And
grazing.
grazing is 2 syllables. Grazing is 2 syllables. Which syllable has all of the stress?
The first one.
Right, gray, gray. So it's really important when you say these to to exaggerate the big sounds in these words. They're special words. And that's what we're sort of practicing is exaggerating the special words or special sounds inside of a word and making the other parts very small. That's the rhythm of English and conversation. This is why sometimes it's difficult to understand people when they're talking. But also, this will improve the way other people hear you. The sheep were grazing. You see how the sheep and gray become very big and the other words become very small. In duration, we're just talking about like the rhythm. Okay, the sheep were grazing. Can you say it like that?
Sheep were grazing.
Make sheep bigger, longer, longer in duration. The sheep were grazing.
The sheep were grazing.
That's better. That's better. That's kind of different from Spanish. Alex, can you try that? The sheep were grazing.
The sheep were grazing.
Can you add the two words in the?
Okay. The sheep were grazing in the.
Yeah, in the is not important, so it becomes very small. The sheep were grazing in the. The sheep were grazing in the.
The sheep were grazing in the.
Okay, and then the final two words, Alex, green meadow. Are those important words?
Yes. Yes. Green as an adjective.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
adjectives
Green.
are
So
usually important. How
yeah.
about, is meadow also important?
Yes. Yeah. We'll give it a bit of stress.
Okay, okay. And
Me.
so which syllable has all of the attention? Meadow. Me,
Meadow.
me, me,
Meadow. Yeah.
meadow.
Meadow. Yeah. Meadow. Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like this. The sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
Can you try that, David? Green meadow.
Green meadow.
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow.
Okay. Now, Alex, or David, I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
David, how would you make a question which means, do you agree with me? Do you think, do you agree with my opinion? Do you agree with my idea?
Uh, the sheep. Um, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
What is our subject? Who are we talking about?
The sheep
Okay, is that an it?
is an animal. I don't know.
Okay, well, it is
Is
an animal, but are we talking about one or many?
one.
Well, if it were one, then it would be the sheep was grazing in the green meadow.
Oh, yeah, totally right. Totally right.
And Sarah gave us the answer in the chat. Don't peek, David. Think about it yourself.
Don't they? Don't they?
Okay, are we saying, is this a do verb or which verb should we use for that?
Didn't they? Yes, is in past. Didn't they?
Okay, but is this a do verb or are we dealing with a situation with the verb to be or modals like will, can, may, might? Do you see are we using the verb to be?
Oh, okay, I got it now. Weren't they?
Were,
Weren't they?
weren't they? Weren't they? Okay,
Okay,
weren't.
in plural and past tense.
Plural,
Weren't they?
weren't they? Okay, now how will you sound the way you're doing it? When you say weren't they, you're like, I don't know. Tell me. I'm not sure. Tell me what to think. How would you say this in a confident way? Like, this is my opinion, and I want you to agree with me. That's not, weren't they? How would you say it?
Weren't they?
Weren't, high to low. Weren't they? Weren't.
Weren't
Go ahead.
the sheep were grazing in the green meadow? Weren't they?
That's, weren't they? I don't know. You tell me what to think. How will you say it in a confident way? Like, this is my opinion, and I want you to agree with me.
Weren't they?
That's right. Can you try to say that again?
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow. Weren't they?
That's, I'm not sure. You tell me. Do it in a confident way. Weren't they? Weren't they?
Weren't they?
Weren't.
Weren't they?
Yeah, say it like a statement. Weren't they?
Weren't they?
The sheep were grazing in the meadow. Weren't they? Say it like that.
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
Now you're asking like you're not sure. How do you say it in a
Oh,
confident?
weren't they?
Try to say the whole sentence in a confident way.
The sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
That's you're saying, weren't they? Like, I don't know. You tell me. You have to say
Oh my God.
really hard. But it's important not just for to get your own idea or your own attitude, but also to understand the attitude of other people when you're talking to them. Sometimes people are asking you a question. Weren't they? Tell me what you know. But if they say, weren't they? They don't want your opinion. They just want you to agree with them. So it's different. It's important to understand that difference. Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Uh, Yes, of course, of course. It's the same words, only the difference is the rhythm,
The tone, the tone.
the tone.
Yeah. Okay,
Let's try again.
go ahead.
The the sheep were grazing in a green meadow, weren't they?
That means I don't know what to think. You tell me. Try to be confident.
Weren't they?
Weren't they? Right.
Were
But try to do the whole thing and then say, weren't they at the end to show that you're confident.
the sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
I'm not sure. You tell me.
Oh no, weren't they?
Yes, you're right. I mean, you know it. Now you just have to do it. Do you want to try
The sheep were
one more time? Okay.
the sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
Again, you're saying, weren't they? I don't know. You tell me. It's still.
Oh my God. Okay, I need practice.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's the first step is just notice it, okay? But you don't have to get it right now. We'll just keep practicing it. But we do have to continue. So,
Yeah.
Alex, can you try to make that question with confidence?
Okay. The sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
Okay, now you're saying it the same way. You're saying, I don't know. You tell
Really?
say it with confidence.
Really?
Weren't they? Really?
Weren't they?
No, that's asking a question. Do it with confidence.
Okay.
Weren't they? Weren't
Weren't they?
weren't they? Up, down.
Weren't they?
You're saying they like a question. It's they.
Weren't they? Weren't they?
Weren't they?
Weren't they?
You're saying they, you're going up, you're making a question. It's not a question.
They.
They.
Weren't they?
Weren't they? Yeah, you're getting closer now.
Okay. Weren't they?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's close. Weren't
Yeah.
they?
Weren't they? That's my homework.
Can you try the whole question? Let's see if you can do it.
Okay.
It's
The
hard.
sheep were grazing. Okay. The sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they?
You're saying weren't they? Weren't they?
Again,
Try again.
weren't they? Weren't they?
You're saying they, but it's they.
They.
Yeah.
Weren't they?
Weren't they?
Weren't they?
Hmm. All right, David. How would you agree with me? This is my idea. The sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they? How do you tell me? Oh, that's true. You're right. I agree with what you said. How would you answer that, David?
Mm, they were.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Yes, you're right. They were.
Yes, yes, they were.
Yes, they were. Okay. How would you disagree with me? How would you tell me, oh, that's wrong. You're wrong about that?
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. That's right. Okay. So if I say, Alex, the sheep were grazing in the green meadow, weren't they? How would you tell me I'm right? I agree with you. You're right about that.
Yes, they were.
Okay. How would you tell me, no, that's not true. You're wrong about that?
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. Okay. All right. Let's do our final vocabulary.